And
Yeah.
hey, how do you put solar into a van?
How many watts do I need?
Oh, by the way, we're live.
Okay. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I don't care. Hey, everybody. I am here with Miles from Light Harvest Solar. It's going to take we always give it a few minutes for people to start jumping on and doing their thing. If we have a little bit of a delay, that's because I'm off of my phone hotspot. So bear with me here. Do you want to say anything, by the way? You can say hello.
Hi, Miles.
That's not. I can do more than that. Man.
More than that, we have got no game plan as to what we're talking about.
Zero game plan. Hello,
We're
you're
here.
not new to my channel. You know that I don't ever script anything ever in any one of my videos.
We're here to talk about.
I don't know. We're just going live. You were here with me, and I said, "Hey, do you want to jump on live with me?" And you were like, "Sure, I'll do that." So, guys, if you have any solar questions, now is the time to get them out.
That's the time.
So this is Miles. He is the owner of Light Harvest Solar. It is you're a distributor of many different products.
Mm-hmm.
You also carry your own brand of batteries. You're powering my whole van that's behind me. You hooked me up with parts for my Jeep.
Yeah, we built that.
You built that one for me, or I built it, but you kind of gave me the schematics of everything.
Right.
You helped me install the air conditioning into my last van. So all of your solar questions and needs, Miles is the guy to ask right now. So if you're doing solar, if you are concerned about solar, if you're concerned about wire sizes, I hate to put Miles on the spot right now, but he is the guy to ask.
Anything.
Definitely. You have a cabin at your house.
I do. Yeah, my office.
Your office is an off-grid, fully operational cabin, I believe.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
We just moved into this place, and it's way up in the mountains, and it had a little cabin, which is, it's a really nice kind of smallish cabin. And do
you know the square footage offhand?
Oh, geez, it's got to be about 300 or something like that.
Okay, cool.
So, but. Of course, when I go to inspect the place, I see that it has no power, totally wired. Okay. The interior is totally wired, nicely, plugs, lights, everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Flip on the lights, nothing's on. They decided, hey, let's just not hook it up to the house. So, luckily for me, it wasn't a huge problem because it's like, oh, it's going to be my new lab.
So
it'll be my new lab.
You said Miles at Light Harvest Solar, he sells, one of his products that he sells is portable power.
Mm-hmm.
How many power stations do you have hooked up in your cabin?
Well, I mean, I've got these things lying around a lot, so I've got a lot of stuff, and it's all tester stuff. So the main thing I've got running right now is an Aspen off of 2 solar panels, like 700 watts.
Yeah,
which is what you have.
There, yeah.
And a Bluetti EP 500, which is the bigger unit.
Yeah,
and that's got like 700 watts running to it too.
Nice.
So, and then I just like intermix. I've got all kinds of power systems. On the days that I'm generating a lot of power, I charge all those up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that I'll have a lot of power stored for the days when it's no sun and 5 degrees and the wind's blowing and it's nasty, right?
We have one question on here so far, and it's the only question is, how can I possibly squeeze more than 200 watts of panels on my minivan 2007 Toyota Sienna?
Yeah, sweet. Okay, so the Siennas are great because they have.
How did you know this? Like, this is crazy.
Well, they're a good size, it's easy. Let me just show you how you do it. This is a 380 watt panel.
You can't see that.
Oh, gosh,
I'll get up there.
Just do it. Okay, so that's a 380 watt panel, and that's a really good width for the Sienna. In fact, it's a good height, a good length too. Basically, most of these vans fit really well one of these big panels, and basically one of our things that we do different than everyone else is we only use commercial panels that go on houses, and they're big. And they're better basically in every way. The only downside is they're more expensive to ship. And all of these 100 watt and 200 watt panels are solely exist to be able to ship through the mail. None of the big boys or girls in the world make them. Not a single one of the top manufacturers do anything but the commercial panels. All right. And so that's what we use.
So I'm going to be, as a person that's on the consumer side of things, My first van, I used a company called Renergy, which most van lifers and
Tons.
new van lifers definitely know who they are. Big corporation. I have always referenced them as like the Walmart of power, as in they're cheap and they get the job done. And nothing against Walmart. And I think they're a great product and whatever company, but when you want to kind of expand your power needs, you go to somebody like this, where I will never go back to 100-watt panels. If I have a van, or definitely if I have a house or any type of off-grid living, I am never ever going to go to 100-watt panels again. I will get the big 380s, or you sell the 400s as well.
400s, we got 320s, we got 325s right now, and they're all sort of similar sizes, and they'll fit. Anyway, that particular one is 39 inches by 78 inches, long, skinny, and it'll fit on a Sienna. It'll take up almost the entire roof, but it'll also give you 380 watts.
And just as one of your vans that you have is actually comparable to a Sienna, is it not?
I've got an all-wheel drive Safari, which is an Astro.
Right. And and you have a 400?
I've got a 345.
A 345 panel up on that.
Yeah.
So you can definitely do it with your Toyota Sienna question of fitting.
Great, yeah.
Yeah, they do fit. It's going to take up most of your roof, like you said. But even with my Econoline that's behind me, I got a 380 plus a fan on there. So it works. We could have fit the 4, but it was kind of, it was pushing it. Yeah, it was a little, the way that it was mounting, John and I didn't like how it was going to mount.
And this is similar.
Yeah. What else we got here? I currently have 2 panels from ACO Power. You know them?
Yeah, I know. Well,
I had trouble finding the large ones on Amazon, because the large ones, like Miles was saying, you can't ship them through the mail as easy. You have to freight ship them, which is where people like him come into play.
Yeah, and that's certainly the downside of them, but it's really the only downside of them. And the way we do it is we're generally putting full kits together. So they've already got 400 pounds of stuff that needs to go out. So we build a crate. We build a wooden crate. We put it on a semi truck. They call you, arrange for delivery, and then they drop a giant crate.
Actually, one of your team members is like in the warehouse, like all day long, just building crates and putting stuff together. It's quite awesome. Yeah. PNDA Photography said they ordered a kit for an ambulance from Light Harvest Solar with 960 watts of solar. Wow.
Did you put it up?
Did you put it on?
Is it fired up?
Photography person. Is it going? What are we talking?
That's pretty impressive. I think I remember this kit.
Really?
Oh yeah.
That's a big kit.
Because 960. That's what's great about ambulances is they've got flat roofs, tons of space. You can put tons of power on them.
That's true, actually.
And they're one of the best.
Do you remember the 960? What panels and how many
if
it was?
If it's a 960, I don't know what's 960 divided into 4.
Is it the 380s times 4?
Something like that.
It must have been the 380s. Maybe.
Yeah.
That's awesome. They probably went actually widthwise and they just stacked 4.
They probably did 1, 2, like long front to back, long 1, 2, or something.
I don't know. That's crazy.
But that's our job. Of course, that's what we do.
That's what your job is.
You call us up and say we've got these measurements, and we say here's what
600 amp hours of lithium.
Nice.
That's who that was. The same person. 960 watts with 600.
That system. I'm sure.
Did you have your batteries at that point, or were you selling the Lion?
I think there's probably Lions on that. Yeah.
Miles now brands his own battery, a 200 amp hour beast of a battery.
Yeah, 150 amp discharge, continuous 200 peak, Bluetooth monitoring. And
we would have put that in here, but I got this Aspen instead. The Aspen is the bee's knees, in my opinion.
Thank you. Let's see. So what do we got?
Question for Miles. If I have a poly and a mono solar panel, is there a different way to wire them together or make them work?
Yeah. Okay. So you can mix mono and poly just fine. You might lose a little bit, but there's only really 2 ways to do it. It's either series or parallel. I would give the slight nudge to parallel depending on what charge controller you had. But in general, mixing dissimilar panels, particularly if they're dissimilar wattages or dissimilar voltages, is not the best idea. But I mean, it sounds like you kind of got some stuff lying around, and you want to make it work.
You also gave me a tidbit of information recently that if you mix 2 sizes of panels, they, no matter what, will go to the lower voltage of the panel.
Almost always, yeah.
Yeah. Can you explain that?
Yeah,
In 30 seconds?
it's fairly complicated. And so basically it's like this. If you, and I might get this wrong because again, it's fairly complicated. If you put them in series, they're going to default to the lowest amperage of them. If you put them in parallel, they're going to default to the lowest voltage of them.
Okay.
So you're always going to lose some, no matter what you do. And there's worse combinations and there's better combinations, but you kind of really kind of understand how to do the math behind it in order to optimize the proper configuration or whatever. In general, I just tell people it's not best practice to mix and match dissimilar panels. You can do it, but you're always going to almost always going to incur at least some losses.
By the way, that 960, where I cannot do math fast enough apparently, but it's obvious. He just wrote it right here. That person deserves 320s. That's 960.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Thank you very much. We're on the spot.
Yeah.
On the spot. We can't do that.
And that's actually I remember I did a video with John recently, and we were talking about how your 320s are great panels, but they're for the ones that are more budget friendly, and it's also for the people that want to put like a massive amount of power up there.
Sure.
Which is perfect for that ambulance, because if you did like 300-400s, it gets a little pricey.
Yeah, and you definitely the 400s are for people who have limited roof space.
Yeah.
Right.
So you can do like a 1-400 fits almost perfectly on every van, Sprinter, ProMaster, Transit, all of them.
And you can do two if you want. And I've seen some really nice installations with two. But
yeah,
if you
Mark's
have like
done a few of them. Yeah.
And but if you have like an ambulance roof, for instance, you can put three of the. I mean, the 360s were like pretty dang nice panels too. So that's not going full budget by any means.
You know, Joe Cool just said something really interesting, and I know you're going to have an opinion on this one. For me, I did a lot of research. Merlin makes the best panel by far. Didn't cost that much more. You can walk on them. They are flexible, and the wiring is much different than the panels you're talking.
Yeah.
You're not going to say anything. I knew that was going to happen. You have your opinions on Blue Eddy, although you don't like to badmouth anybody either.
Blue Eddy?
I mean, not Blue Eddy, excuse me.
Merlin. But Merlin's good friends. They make a quality thing, but they're half as efficient. And that's what I'm going to say.
So your efficiency rating, you feel the ones
they've got their own process. It's a proprietary process. I believe it's a deposition process. And they are half as efficient. In other words, it's a real big panel for not as much wattage.
You are correct that they are technically walkable, as in their military grade. However, it takes a lot to just walk on them. If you put them on top of a roof, yeah, you can probably walk on them. However, roofs on vans have ribs in them. And you have to make sure that you fill that void with something, because you don't want it to flex inside of that, 3-inch gap, because you could damage the cell. So for someone to make a platform and then put a Merlin on it, sure, that's possible. But I believe that's got to be the dollar per watt is got to be like almost double, I would think.
On the Merlins?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I don't know the exact numbers. But that's just, I also know, whatever. We'll leave it at that. Can you give a short explanation of the best configuration practices, types of panels to types of batteries?
Sure. I can make it. I mean, it's a little bit complex, but I can make it short. Essentially, what we do is people call up, and the more solar that you can fit, the better, because that's your generation. And we tend to want as much as we can get, especially once we are able to, enjoy the power. Also, stuff like cloudy days, et cetera, et cetera. So generally, the most solar you can get. Batteries, there's a range, and you tend to get a ratio. I never really go below 200 amp hours, and I only ever use lithium. I would never use anything else. So something like 200 amp hours or 170 is kind of the low range of what's practical for a van. And then on the high end of what's practical, it's space and cost tend to be the limiting factors on that. 600 amp hours is kind of the upper end of what is reasonable for most fans. You can go more if you're in a bus or something like that. Then you go to inverters, really only do 2,000 or 3,000. There's no reason to go below 2, really. You want at least 2, and then 3,000, unless you've got a real reason to, you don't want to, because every time you turn on your inverter, it has a self-consumption. They take a lot of power just to turn them on. The bigger the inverter is, the more power it takes. So if you get like a 5,000 or say like some 7,000 watt inverter or something like that, every time you turn it on, it'll suck your batteries down faster than you want. You'll never generally need that much power.
I believe just having an inverter on can draw anywhere between 4 to 6 amps just by having it on.
Yeah, it's usually more like 2 to 4 amps.
Okay.
But yes, still very significant.
Still run
right.
it pretty good.
A lot, right?
Right.
And so you want to kind of stay as small as you can and be practical. And then it goes inverter or alternator charging is an option most people get. And so you just come up with those components, get the right ratio. Budget, like I said, dictates it a lot. So as much solar as you can. In general, as much battery as you can, decide what inverter charger you want and just get quality components and then do alternator charging. And that's basically what most of our systems are.
Joe Cool, I definitely I'm not hating on you. I think Merlin panels are fantastic, by the way. I have nothing ill to say about Merlin panels. Actually, one of our good friends uses Merlin. So I'm not going to say who that is, but I have nothing bad or ill to say about Merlin. I think
is Merlin the ones who are, oh no, I'm sorry. You know what? I made a mistake. I was thinking Sunflare.
Yes, Sunflare. I don't
know. I'm not going to say either way.
Sunflare is Merlin's competitor.
Yeah, I'm not. I was thinking Sunflare, and I should be more accurate and hold my tongue on that because I was getting it mixed up with Sunflare.
Okay, so Sunflare is who he was talking about earlier. That you were just that's a proprietary, blubbity blah. But Merlin is their direct competitor.
Merlin, I don't know good enough to.
They're also military grade.
Anything.
Yes,
but I've seen them and they're nice. Yeah.
Yeah, they are very, very nice. Again, you know who uses them. Wes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Miles, I hear people say that you shouldn't walk on the roof of a van. Human weight is too much. Your thoughts on walking panels and people on roofs of sprinters and such?
Yeah, the panels that I use, you probably could walk on them.
Like yours?
Don't do it.
Just
don't do it. As far as that goes, unless maybe you like reinforce them, you get all fancy smatch with your reinforcement underneath. Even the flexible panels, because of the ridges, you have to account for that. And I would say in general, walking on solar panels is a gigantic no-no unless you have some kind of specific situation where you've accounted for it.
Yeah, and like, the ones that do make the walkable decks, we love them, we know them. It's just that we also know that you can't put like a there because you're going to scratch it, it'll, or anything that's pointy that can like almost like a shard that will go into the panel itself. So you're going to have to just make sure that you are doing your correct research there. That's all. Like a beanbag chair would be kind of cool up there.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the panels that I sell, unless I've seen them reinforced from below effectively.
Yeah.
But in general,
you trust me, as somebody that had a walkable panel, this guy right here, you don't get up on your roof all that much. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I'm just going to call it. It is what it is. They're nice to have though. And yours are hail rated too, I believe, right?
Oh yeah, they're
80 mile an hour hail or something like that.
They vary, and I don't know right off the top of my head, but they're house panels, so they have to handle everything.
Do panel specs specifically how many amps per hour they make in normal full sunlight to help figure battery configurations, or just divide by volts?
Okay, so yeah, that's a little tough one to peg down because of course, you're constantly varying how many hours are in the day, and you're constantly varying cloud cover, right? Rain and all that stuff. So it goes all over the place. We're in Oregon in the middle of winter in the short days. We're in worst case scenario. It's dumping rain outside, and it's going to produce 5%. 3% of what it does in full sun. So clearly in solar, the summer in the sun is way better than the winter in not the sun. And also you're getting, when you're talking about amp hours, and you got to also specify at 12 volts or 24 volts or whatever. And then, so it's a lot easier to say watts. In general, a panel like Jared's, let's say dead average, like May or something like that on a sunny day is going to produce, that's 380 watts. You're going to probably see 3 kilowatts a day. 2-3 kilowatts a day, maybe on the high side 4 kilowatts a day. And then that's going to be higher than that in the, at the equator in the summer, in the middle of the summer. It's going to be lots lower than that in Alaska in the middle of the winter. Yeah. So it's a very highly variable.
Depends on where you are, time of year, everything.
And that's my job, is because we've just done it so much that we can accurately tell people what to expect.
Joe Cool, thank you so much. I appreciate you as well. Want to get the Aspen, also want to add more bats. How do you add more to the Aspen?
Yeah, so we're right now doing our testing phase with auxiliary batteries, and so that's it. And so we've got a 2 kilowatt.
I'm not holding that up this whole time.
I lugged one.
It's too heavy.
Okay. So anyway, I lugged one and did a long video that I never posted. Okay,
so how do you add more batteries?
We're working on 2 kilowatt hour expandable battery packs, and we're just getting some of the equipment to make it functional the way we want it functional is back ordered. So we're waiting on getting everything caught up.
I can tell you guys firsthand that once I have the Aspen in this van right now, or it's sitting right here, as soon as that's capable of having that expandable battery, Miles and I will show it. Or Joe,
we're gonna get you to
or John and I
or
will
whatever.
Yeah, right. We're gonna show it in this van, and we will show you guys how it's all possible and how we can do it. Right? Is that safe to say? Okay.
Yeah. And so then you've got a super good 4 kilowatt hours.
That's 400
alternator charging, lots of solar charging.
Crazy.
It should be super effective.
Crazy. Somebody asked if I was going to make it to Schoolypalooza. I am going to try like heck. I'm going to show you guys real quick, and then we're going to bring Miles right back. I have a lot of work to do on the van. Okay. So that's all my van right there. I have a lot of work to do, and I want to try and get it done before Schoolypalooza, or at least livable enough. I'm going to pick up my dog down there. They have it on a bus. They're bus lifers. So I'm going to try and get down to Schoolypalooza for that.
He really wants to put panels on his roof, and he wants to see if there's any other advice other than don't do it. So it's not necessarily don't do it. It's just that the choices are few and far between, and they require a fair amount of consideration. So if you're going to get a flexible, you got to make sure any ridges in your roof, you got to fabricate something to make it totally flat. So you have it. So even the ones that are walkables, you have to have it supported from underneath, or at least flat.
So the thing is with the roofs, they curve like so, right? So you have to put rails, and then you have to put lifts up to make it flat, and then you have to make some sort of deck up there, whether it's some sort of carbon fiber or
any kind of like any of the racks up there that are metal.
Yeah, an aluminum rack.
Any aluminum rack is going to be totally awesome.
100%. Right? Yes.
Right. With a walker like a Merlin or something.
Yes, like absolutely. So if you were to get a rack from a XYZ company, if you have a ProMaster, I believe Flatline Vanco is about to come out with a rack.
Sure.
You can throw up a Merlin on a Flatline Vanco rack. Or if you have a Sprinter, there's like many different rack companies out there. Like he said, you could just buy the rack and do it. So absolutely, you could do that.
That's for sure the best way. Have a rack, buy a Merlin.
Yeah, that's expensive. So if you're ready for the price,
but it's cool too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Miles and JT, I love that. Can you talk about the 120 versus 24 volt configuration, please? Because I love this question so much, because he was been schooling me on 24 volt.
24 volt is a trend right now that I have strong opinions against. Okay, and the reason why is this: 24 volt. We used to have to do it because the lead acid batteries won't put out any power. We know, or not very much. Now we don't have to anymore. The 12 volt lithiums will put out a ton. And the biggest problem with 24 volts is that you lose your standardization of 12 volts. everything, tons of stuff is 12 volts, right? And so it's gone. So you have to get another component that's going to have its own idle consumption that basically has to stay on all the time. So it's going to suck down your batteries. Now, 24 volt is going to perform ever so some percentage, 2% better or whatever it is. It transmits the power more twice as effectively. You can use wire size that's half as big, right? But you're going to lose your standardization of 12 volts and have, like I said, have another component, another cost, another area of complexity, another component that could go wrong. If you're going to go away from 12 volts, just go straight to 24. Then you, at least you, when you lose your standardization of 12, at least you get a huge amount of advantage on the 48 volt side. So I only almost ever design 12 or 48. If I'm going away from 12, I'm going straight to 48, period. It's a quarter of the cost of the charge controllers. It's a quarter of the size of the wire. It's 4 times more effective in terms of running electricity than 12 volts. It's just like there's no reason to do 24, in my opinion, unless you're going to go find 24 volt lights and a 24 volt fridge and 24 volt USBs and 24 volt, what else are we doing? Pumps. And
they do make 24
everything.
volt air conditioners.
They make them. You got to go find them. And the reality of it is because these lithium, like for instance, our 200 amp hour battery, it's 150 amp discharge rate per battery. So that means it's got 1600 watts, 16 to 1800 watts of discharge off of one battery. You have 2 of those, that goes to 36. 2 batteries is going to run anything. You just got to run big wires. And they're perfectly capable of kicking out an enormous amount of power, and you just don't need to do 24. And then, yeah.
We can do a whole video on just that.
I mean, I'm not quite into pet peeve land with the 24. I'm a little bit irked that everybody else is pushing it.
Yeah.
But I don't.
You like 48 though.
48's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, 48's awesome. 12 or 48?
12 or 48. You want to go standard 12 or go big or go home 48?
That's right.
Okay. All right.
That's my attitude towards it.
All right. And the reason I think you said to me yesterday, because you're going to have to jump up to 48 and back down to 12 regardless. So you might as well just go all the way to 48. Just do it, right. Got it.
Right. Well, actually, by the time you go to 48, you're usually dealing with bigger, more powerful systems. So just do everything 120 AC. Call it good.
Oh, there you go. You could do it that way.
Just don't even do 12 volt.
Just don't even use 12 volt at all. Just use everything at 120. Okay. And on a 48 volt system can handle that. Is what you're saying.
It is. Yeah, definitely.
The inverter's always on.
Yeah.
Can you ship to the Caribbean or that other place that they said?
We tend to not. Lithium is just so hard, and it's just so expensive.
So you don't ship overseas at all? No. Okay. Not yet. Maybe eventually.
Maybe in the future, but it's very difficult.
48 volt is better. Everything is cheaper. Yeah, it's probably true. Photography person. I'll be there the 21st through the 27th. I hope to be there myself. I will let you know. And you'll see on my channel. I'll announce it. Sorry about the train here, guys.
We're down by the tracks.
Are any panels up to double duty as rooftop deck flooring? We kind of went over this a lot.
The panels that we use, if you support them underneath back and figure it all out and get all engineered on it, maybe, but you're certainly taking your chances.
Yeah. If you also want to like put stuff on top of your panels, like a kayak or something along those lines, I actually advise not to, only because of scratching purposes.
They'll scratch it, but they're actually pretty tough. And you know how I like to break stuff.
Yeah, you do break your stuff.
I do like to push it to the edge. So I'm kind of leaning towards maybe seeing how it'll
We're going to tell you not to do that, but again, you can still do it.
Don't do it. Okay, so
what's up, guys? What's the status with the gutted show? Actually, this guy was actually there.
Yeah, that's fun.
Don't say who won. But you don't know.
I wasn't there.
The status is they are still working on it. They're still editing it. We are hoping within the next month or so, and trust me, every influencer that was there will I hate that word, content creator that was there will definitely post about it. Trust me when that happens. I've come late and now you're speaking French. I have to go back and watch.
Yeah.
It's when this guy's in the room, it's hard for me to keep track because he's the smartest man in the room always.
Nonsense coming out of my mouth.
Nonsense.
How long would it take to make your money back on home solar? Yeah. So like,
where was that question? That's a good question.
Right here.
That's a good question.
8 years, give or take, depending on a bundle. Let's just say between 6 and 10 years. but they're warranted for 25 years, and you lock yourself in at the price that you originally do it at, right? So assuming energy costs are going to rise, that math is based on the money you're paying right now. So, and then, yeah, so you basically get 15 years of free power at futures prices.
So if I was to build a house right now, you obviously would advise me to immediately put some panels up on that roof.
Totally.
Yeah.
Especially
cover as much as I can.
Cover as much as you can.
Okay. Or if I was to buy an existing structure, let's cover as much as I can.
Yeah, and really the only downside to it is initial cost,
which can get a little pricey.
It's a big barrier.
Your retail on your best panel you've got is a 400 Solaria. Your retail is what, like 6?
Yeah, but it's a little more than that. But you would want to probably go lots of smaller ones, lots of the budget panels, for instance. Right?
Okay, all right, that's a good point.
In general, if you
see, this is why I love this guy, by the way, guys. I was literally went to the top tier price, and he's like, no, I'm going to save you a bunch of money. We're going to get you in the smaller ones, right?
Right, because you can get more power per dollar.
Right.
Without because the law of diminishing returns kicks in. You pay a lot on the top end to get just a little bit more.
Do you have bulk pricing?
Sure.
Yeah. So if you ordered 100 panels to cover a field,
20 or 50 or whatever it was,
right,
yeah.
Right. But if you were to do a van, the bigger the panel, the better. Like if you're doing one panel, Solaria 400 all way, like because the best.
If you only have one room for one panel and you need the most, you get the best, and that's a lot of what our customers are: sprinters, ProMasters, things like that.
Yeah. Although you're trying to get more into tiny homes, such things like that.
Sure, we do all that stuff. Yeah, of course, right.
Anything tiny living.
Let's see.
Does Miles do solar installations on vans? Not anymore.
We're just too busy.
But
there's a few people that are starting to get into it in our little circle group.
Right. It's to come. If you hit Miles up, he can definitely refer you, or there's definitely people that can do solar installations, especially in the Portland area. So you can hit me up for that too, and I can push you in the right direction.
Yeah. So here's the one with the ambulance is asked a great question.
Geez, you remembered that? That's pretty good.
Yeah, I have 6 panel. They've got 6 panels, and they've got a air conditioning running. It's a Dometic 2000 AC RTX.
That's air conditioning.
Yeah. So I don't know exactly how much that runs. I can kind of guess. But he wants to know how long it's going to go on his 600 amp hours of batteries and 960 watts. So basically, I can only tell you a generalization, and I can, in general, say you're going to be pretty effective. You're probably going to be able to run most of the time during the day in most circumstances. You might have to charge your batteries in the morning when it's cool, and then go all afternoon, and then the batteries will, die, and you can charge them up a little bit later in the day is generally how I do it. But you've got a pretty big battery bank. Getting through the night, if there's no power coming in, no solar at all, if you're full, you've got maybe 4 hours or something like that on full. So just on the batteries, about 4 hours.
That's compressor on time, I believe. On an air conditioner, the compressor goes on and off.
Yeah, it does. And it's different if you're in like 110 degrees and if you're in like 80, right? So you can only generalize. But what I will say is, in general, you're very likely to do quite well.
Yeah, Arizona summer is a lot different than a Colorado summer.
Yeah, and you're definitely not going to have all you want all the time, but you'll have most of what you want most of the time. Yeah.
How many gigawatts needed to run a hairdryer?
0.000015 or something.
That was a joke. He actually has no idea.
I'm some order of magnitude off on that, I'm sure.
Somebody solar stations on vans.
Yeah, this is a good one though. Any advice for AC units and how much power would be enough? The more
that's the same person.
The more solar, absolutely critical. As much solar as you can get, and as much battery as you can get. Always roof space and budget are the limiting factors.
With an air conditioning running, it's more so just taking the edge off. You're not going to run. It's not going to be like running a house AC. You're not going to be able to run your air conditioning 24/7. You need to I would say minimum, you're going to need at least 600 amp hours of batteries. And, if you're at a kilowatt, which is about 1,000 watt hours, then you're going to be fine.
Well, what you're saying is 1,000 amp hours.
Well, you know what I meant.
12 volts.
Yeah, you know what I meant.
Which is 12 kilowatts.
This is why I have miles around. No, I love how you corrected me. I need with the group. Got to watch them hang the sign. Wow. One of the best things ever happened to me in my life so far. Joe Cool. That's pretty awesome. I
yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, my connection is unstable. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Are we still on, guys? If we're not, we're going to call it a night.
Someone is asking if we see solar technology.
Hopefully we're still on and that
Hopefully
wasn't
we'll
so
just
bad.
keep going
We're
like
gonna
normal.
keep
We're just
going.
going to act like nothing happened.
Okay.
Is solar technology going to get more awesome to the point that financing is stupid? It's kind of like computers. It's always improving at about 5%, 5 to 7% a year. So it becomes obsolete at like 5 to 7% a year. In general, and the price is stabilizing now. It went down a lot for a while, but you'll find that it's going to be, it's going to probably stay the same. Technology will get better a little bit over time.
This is my buddy. You might remember him, Shane.
Which one?
He was on the bus team at Gutted. Skinny guy, one of my good buddies.
Sure, I'd probably recognize him. Anyway, Shane likes to party and wants to know how much power he needs for a boom box.
I just wanted you to say that.
And if he wants to rock, it's entirely possible, very likely. With basically like the Aspen, we could do a 4-man concert, no problem.
Shane, in your last van, you had the party lights. Your music, if you bumped the music, it went with the lights in your entire electrical system. Right. It was pretty cool.
We get the house rocking. No problem.
No problem.
One solar panel, one Aspen, and we're all having a good time.
Color My World. You said, Jared, could you do a video for us clueless people? I'm clueless too, by the way, and explain this wattage stuff in a way that is most electric challenge people can understand.
I got a good explanation for that. That's fast.
Okay.
You want me to do it?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So there's 3 components to electricity.
Yeah, right.
There's volts, amps, and watts. Watts is the only real important one that tells you how much gets done. So volts is how many people you got working. Amps is like how hard they're working, right? And watts is what actually gets done. So you can have one person working at 100%. It's the same as 100 people working at 1%. Is the same as 50 people working at 2%, or 20 people working at 5%, or 5 people working at 20%, right? Watts is what actually gets done. So volts is how many people you got. Amps is how hard they're working.
All right, you lost me at hello. I will try and do a video of something along those lines to help you out. What would you recommend for a box truck never having to worry about power? A 48 volt?
48 volt with as much solar panel as you can get and as much batteries you can afford. It's going to be and that's the long and the short of it. And that's the kind of thing where you call us and you say, hey, and we have a conversation with you, and we say, here's what this will do, here's what it's going to cost, here's what this will do, here's what it's going to cost.
Simple Life RVing says, Miles, I'm enjoying my hookup. I have plenty of power. I'm on my 2019 ProMaster Aspen and 800 watts of solar. Sweet. Your people were professionals. Thanks, Miss Harris and Flagstaff. Right, if you remember it.
Great.
What's the plan /system /setup for the weekender 3-4 nights at a time, a couple of times a month? That's a great question.
An Aspen, because they're so easy to install, an Aspen and 1 or 2 solar panels.
Yep. That's what this is, by the way.
That's what he's doing, and
And actually, to be honest with you, I could be full time with the amount of power I have with the Aspen. To be quite honest with you, especially with the Phoenix,
alternator.
Yeah.
And if you get the
extended battery, the expanded pack,
then you start to get into really quite a lot of power, and just the price and the ease of the Aspen is generally the way to go.
Hopefully, we can get that expandable pack by Tiny Fest. If we can do that, that'd be.
We're waiting on the components.
So that's
on one particular component, at least to get to the really high functionality I want. We can certainly get you into most functionality.
Okay,
pretty even right now.
Figure it out.
Right.
I'm not scared.
Yeah,
I'm not scared.
Permanently tilting my 310 watt panel. Oh, this is a good one. Tilting. It's expensive and it's complicated. And if you get enough power, like 310 watts, you probably won't do it. Now, if you want to do it, you can do it. But like I said, it's expensive and it's complicated. And I personally never do it. I just make sure I put enough solar panels out there to deal with it as being flat. And also flat will get some sun at any angle where it's at. If you angle it towards the sun, the more you angle it, the more it has to be pointed south, right? You have to orient your van south.
This one's an interesting one. Is there any batteries not made in China?
I mean,
China, and what's the other one? There's another big one, isn't
there's
there?
probably some Indian ones and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily aware of them, but I tend to,
They all get assembled in the States, if that helps.
Sometimes they do. I'm concerned with performance.
Yeah.
And reliability. My biggest considerations are price, performance, and reliability, and then country of manufacture. It tends to be down my list a little bit more. And China made the right decisions 5 years ago. They made all the right decisions, and we did not make.
Somebody asked when Tiny Fest SoCal is. Just go to tinyfest.events and they'll tell you. I believe it's March 10th and 11th, or 11th and 12th, something like that. Let's see here. Still looking for a van. Been dreaming about many. Keep looking. They're out there. Hey, Jared, is a common practice to put warming pads for lithium battery packs in cold weather.
They want a volt watt amp video.
You can do it. Yeah, there's a lot of people that want the volt watt.
I've got
amp
one.
video.
There's one.
Is there one on your channel?
There's one on it's Light Harvest Solar YouTube channel. There's one that's.
There's also a video of
jumping. It's got like 600 views on it.
Well, go subscribe to his channel. Do you recommend a heating pad or something to heat up the lithium batteries in cold weather?
Yeah. Okay. So let's just go over that.
Or even lift them off the ground is what I usually try.
I usually put them inside. Lithium. The one thing they do not like is to be charged in sub-freezing weather, right? So, and I deal with this a lot. So I do a couple things. Normally what I'll do is if it's really cold, I've got a heater in my van and I just point the heater straight at the lithium. And I want it to be warm in the van anyway, so I go in the van before I'm even going to get in it. I turn the heater on. I get the thing cranking. It generates internal heat. And plus if it's really cold, I'll point the heater right at it. Usually by the time I've got some heat going on in there, they'll warm up to the point where they can charge, and then I generate power for the next day to do that same thing. So lithium batteries, absolutely, that is the one biggest downside, is they don't like to be charged in the cold. There's ways you can mitigate it: heated boxes, heated pads. I'm all for whatever it takes. Heated pads can get a little bit sketchy because it's hard to control the temperature of them. When I've done them, I, like, for instance, put it on carpet and it wasn't good, right? We are gonna, one of the goals for this year is to have 100, 150, 200, and 300 amp hour lithium batteries, all heated and non-heated. So if you're going to spend a lot of time in the cold, you gotta deal with it one way or another.
Yeah, good call.
Just got to deal with it one way or another. It's one of those things.
A couple of good questions here. We're going to call it real soon, guys. We've been already here for 40 minutes. Go back and check out Miles and all of his information if you are behind. Is it common practice? Oh, we already did that one. Lithionics, which you can touch on in a second, but I wanted to get to this one as well. Blue Eddy, which Miles knows very, very well. Blue Eddy is coming out with the world's first sodium-ion battery.
Yeah. And I saw that and was like, "Whoa, let's do it." And I talked to John, my manager, and he's like, "I already checked it out, and they're lame," is what he said. And so I said, "Okay, well, why are they lame?" And he said, "Well, because they're cheaper and they don't have as good of discharge characteristics."
I've heard something through the grapevine of somebody coming out with an aluminum battery.
Yeah,
is this true?
I haven't. I'm not sure. I haven't heard about those. But anyway, the sodium ion, according to John, my very capable manager, and my research too, is slightly inferior to standard lithium ion.
Somebody asked what the Aspen is. Can you help me pick this up?
Sure.
The Aspen is this guy right here. It is a portable power station. It is going to be powering my entire van. You're not gonna be able to see that screen, dude.
I know, but you can see the light, and that's cool.
It's a beautiful touch screen. It's got 6 ports. It's
plugs, USBs. It's solar, 700-watt solar input capability. You can charge it with your alternator. It's got 2,000 watt pure sine wave inverter, 2 kilowatt hour lithium battery, 700 watt solar charge controller.
I did a video on my channel with that thing that I used a Brava oven. A Brava oven is a beast of a machine, and I cooked a steak with broccoli during the entire video. I did not cut it, and I time lapsed it, and I believe it was like a 20 to 25 minutes, and I was running just the Brava on just that thing, on just the Aspen, which is crazy. It's literally cooking a steak on just a portable power station, which is made by him.
Right.
Sure.
I'm reading all of these as I go, right? Yeah, what he said.
Sure.
Right.
Let's see here. We're trying to decide between an Aspen and a permanent battery system. That's a great question for the E250. Which would be better? It really depends on your wants and needs, because one is, I've had both. I've had a custom kit, and I've also had, obviously, the Aspen. And it really just depends if you're going to be full-time. There's a 2-year warranty on these. I hate to talk for you, Miles, but, are you going to say the same thing I'm going to say? Pretty much?
I think the all-in-ones are the future. They're a lot easier. They're less expensive for what you get.
Somebody asked what the price is. Want to say what the price is?
Yeah. Right now, they're on sale for $1,675. Cool. So they're less expensive for what you get, and they're a lot easier for what you get. Those are the two big advantages, and I think that's the way people are going to be going.
How many watt hours is it again?
Two kilowatt hours, 2,000 watt hours.
2,000 watt hours, which is the equivalent to about 178 amp hours.
Something like that.
179, something like that, amp hours. But again, we will be able to have an expandable battery pack to make it pretty much double that size.
Yeah.
Soon.
I'm personally, I lean pretty strongly towards the Aspen, towards the all-in-ones, especially once we get the expanded battery pack, because that was really the only downside.
And I'll show you guys how, if you want to put it in a van, I'm going to be having some upcoming videos here soon that I'll show you how to wire it up. If you want to wire it up into a van. And actually, John and I have done, which is his manager, we've done videos together about it on my channel, about wiring it up and how to do it, and powering an entire van. It's definitely more budget friendly.
It's super easier. Yeah. Way easier.
Thanks for the info. It's dinner time. You're welcome. Have a good dinner. Speaking of, we're going to be wrapping up soon, so get your last minute questions in, everybody.
CPAP. Someone's asking about a CPAP.
Please go ahead.
They work great. It'll run a CPAP, no problem.
Overnight, easily. Actually, multiple nights without charging it.
Especially with a solar panel. Induction,
no propane build.
That's the only way to do
it. We only try to cook with electric.
I tend to like not induction cooking. Like I've got this awesome like bowl thing that heats up electrically. I mean, there's skillets, there's all kinds of ways to do it. The problem with induction is you got to have pots, right? And so you have to have cookware, and in a van that takes up room and space and all this kind of thing. And what I use in my van, you can cook almost anything in it. With no pot, it heats up, and there's a million different things that you can get that work good.
Rob Williams, you said you have a tiny watt solar 500 watt box with a 600 amp hours of lithionics in South Florida. You are going to need for an AC. Are you going to need more battery? Are we talking Florida in August?
Yeah, I mean, you always need more battery getting through the night is the hard part on batteries. I mean, you're on the upper end of what is practical for a battery, both in cost and physical size. So you're kind of gonna, if you've got if you've got like a RV or something with a lot of room inside, but if you're in a Sprinter, you're towards the top.
Also consider getting a Nations alternator kit, so you can charge it up from the alternator. You can also idle charge on an alternator kit. On a DC to DC charger, it's like a trickle charge. It'll barely charge, but an alternator kit, a separate alternator, can charge it on idle, and it can charge your system up really quick.
This says, what is John's channel? I'm assuming he's asking John,
your manager.
Yeah. So that's lightharvestsolar.com on YouTube.
Light Harvest Solar.
Light Harvest Solar, yeah.
Light Harvest Solar.
Whatever. Oh yeah, not .com.
No, there is no .com on YouTube.
Amateur.
Yes, we still need to get a beer.
How much does it weigh? The Aspen weighs 51 pounds.
I don't even think that's technically what it is, but I don't think it's 51 pounds. There's no way I can lift up 51 pounds that easily.
I could be wrong.
It feels more like a 41
Jared
pounds, but
says no.
it's not that bad. I don't throw my back out. I'm old.
Does the Aspen come in different sizes? No, it doesn't, but we've got other ones that are smaller at the moment, and we've also got one that's like quite a bit bigger that's not an Aspen.
The EP500?
The EP500, the Blue Eddy, and then we've got one that's a 1,000-watt inverter with a 2.4 kilowatt-hour battery, and one that's got the exact same features, a 1,000-watt inverter with a 1.8 kilowatt-hour battery. So yeah, we've got them, but they're but not the Aspen.
Technically,
the Aspen is
your
what it is.
smaller systems can be your other power sources. Like, you know, we're talking
sure.
about hooking up the Aspen and making it expandable. But if you buy the Aspen in one of your others, then that's still the same thing.
You can charge from one to the other, or back and forth.
Or you can just take the solar wires out of the Aspen and put it into the other one.
Or you can like charge one up and take it outside if you don't. Because I sometimes will take the smaller one outside because they're lighter, right? And use it for stuff like that. So yeah, you can. There's lots and lots of flexibility.
A lot of ways to skin a cat is what we're trying to say here.
That's right.
Rob Williams has been parked next to you. Oh, he's catching Epic, the one with the 600 amp hours of lithium.
Oh, that one.
That's catching. Yeah. It's not there anymore. That's catching
Mark.
Epic.
I'll let Mark do the
Mark.
Yeah, you're in good shape.
You're in great shape. Don't worry about it.
You're about as good as it gets.
Your van is also one of the most intricate vans ever, and it's going to be a work of art when it's all done. I can tell you that much. But I can't say much else.
So here says, should I take my battery out in the winter if I don't use the van every day? I mean,
take your battery
if it makes you feel better, but probably not, because I find you can damage batteries. You know, what if you accidentally short it out and you're like, oh, you know? So I would say in general, no. But if it makes you feel better, good. Is the Aspen lithium ion? It's a lithium iron phosphate.
Oh, it is.
It is lithium iron phosphate, and I believe I should probably check this before saying it, but let's just say 2,000, just because I think it's either 2,000 or 3,000, and but I'm going to say
cycles.
Cycles. I'm going to say
I'm betting it's higher than 2,000 cycles.
I don't remember. I'm sorry, guys. My
because you're like what do you? Because you also sells batteries like actual battery, like 200 amp hour battery. What's the cycle?
I think that's got 2,000.
Is it 2,000?
I think it's 2,500. I just don't like saying things I don't know, especially on live YouTube. So we can answer that for you, but it would be in order to be accurate, I'd like to have you get in touch and we'd look it up. Right?
What's the website to check out those power stations? It's light, like light in the sky, harvest, like you're harvesting crops, solar.com.
Yeah,
okay.
That's right.
Lightharvestsolar.com.
Right. Can I drive down from Seattle and see the battery setup and the Aspen in person? Absolutely. We've got a retail.
They have a storefront.
We've got a retail store. You can walk in, you see everything we've got. Put your hands on it, push the buttons, see if you like it, test it as much as you want.
Push the buttons.
Whatever. Well, the touch screen. Okay.
Okay.
Do whatever you want.
You can play with it. You can pet it if you want. You can charge your phone.
Drop it. We don't care.
I wouldn't drop it.
Well,
mine went through a beating because
know.
we had it gutted. It went through a beating.
It did. I dropped one of the smaller ones out of the van, and it was like 2.
It was fine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Surprisingly.
We're cold because it's freaking cold in Portland.
Yeah.
Him and I keep on tripping breakers because we're on the same circuit in the warehouse.
Yeah, here's a really good one. Homeless combat vet living in a 92 Sonoma truck. How much will it cost to convert so I have power in the camper? Okay, so it totally depends on your budget. The more you pay, the more you get. But if you're dealing with a situation where you don't have any electricity, like it's hard to do a cell phone or anything like that, you can get into it really cheap. And in situations like what you're in, I even have stuff sitting around that I would sell really cheap to get, because
there you go.
Any power at all almost is way, way, way better than no power. So even if you don't have a gigantic budget, there's way to go. You go from 0 to 50% really easily. You might not be at 100, but you're way, way better than not. If you don't have light, you're dead. In your situation, you're in really bad shape. So
just get a hold of Light Harvest Solar.
Get a hold of Light Harvest Solar and we're going to have a garage sale, and we got a lot of stuff.
Are you?
Yeah.
When are you doing this?
When we get around. When we're not totally slammed. But we got to do
Who was that? That was the veteran.
Mountain Dew 007.
All right, so Mountain Dew 007. Make sure you say your name. Make sure if you call or if you email, make sure that you state who you are. That Miles is the one that kind of referenced you, and he'll get you going with it.
Yeah, and especially if you can get to Portland.
It helps when you have the owner of the company right here, guys. So just
we've got a lot of stuff that we would be more than happy to get people at least fired up a little bit with. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Anything to take care of a veteran,
Yeah, and where's the store? It's in Portland, Oregon, 8634 North Crawford Street, 97203.
Jeez, buddy. I mean, you can find that on the website too, I think.
Yeah. For anyone
is it open on the weekends? No, it is not.
No. Someone said they're running AC. Do you really need a soft start? Yeah, if you got weak batteries, like Battleborn.
Ooh. Shots fired! Shots fired!
You don't need a soft start if you've got a good
Battleborn. Wow, buddy, you went there.
Oh man.
We don't talk ill on anybody. No, it's fine. I don't care. I would say the same thing.
Battleborn needs a soft start. Everything else, no.
Really?
Yeah. I've gone over that whole story with you.
I know, but I tend to forget these things.
Battleborn needs a soft start. Everything else, you're golden.
What is a soft start? I don't even know.
Well, the air conditioners have a really high inrush current.
Yeah.
You got to put a ton of power out to get them going, right? And then they'll come down, right? It's a surge. It absolutely is a surge, right?
Okay.
And so you need a really powerful battery to absorb the surge.
Gotcha.
And lots of people say that's where the soft start comes in. My batteries, you don't need a soft start. The Aspen, you don't need a soft start.
Guys, we're approaching an hour, and I keep on saying we're gonna wrap this up. So literally 2 more minutes, guys, and we are done skis. Do you offer a good Group 34 lithium battery? What is that?
A Group 34, I think, is a smaller. I think the Lion Energy is a Group 34, and I'm not really up on that, unfortunately, like the car sizes. But I think the Lion is the battery that I would look at. And yes, we do like those a lot. They're the best smaller battery out there. You talk about Blue Eddy a lot. Blue Eddy's, in my opinion, the best manufacturer right now. That's who's making our Aspens for us, and most of their products are quite good. Although I'm not really familiar with the EB70. I haven't had it in my hands. And again,
which one's the EB70?
I think it's one of their smaller units.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not. I don't talk about stuff that I don't know about, and I don't know about that.
It doesn't.
But I would, if it's a Blue Eddy, I would give it a higher level of confidence than most.
Hey, EDC Dave, come on down. Tacoma, Washington is not far at all.
Not far, a couple hours.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we're up in North Portland too. So as soon as you get over the river, we're right there.
Princess Pamela, the soft start again is just a surge. It's like if you were to turn on a microwave, it actually takes a little bit more power than it actually runs. So let's say a microwave runs at 1,000 watts, it actually will kick up to 1,500 watts and then go back down to 1,000. So a soft start would be something around the lines of like it just takes a lot more power.
Yeah, it basically what it does is it kind of stores a lot of power, stores power in it, and then when something demands a lot of power more than the batteries will give, it'll give a little bit extra until it comes back down to its lower thing. So, but like I said, if you have a powerful battery, and I'm a total maniac about powerful batteries, you don't need it. And
Rob Williams, Catching Epic, says we were going to talk about Lithionics before. Thoughts? I think Lithionics are very good battery.
My limited experience has been really good, but they're very expensive.
They are expensive batteries. They're very, very good. Compressor, I don't know what you're referencing, but sounds good. Light Harbor Solar is legit. They are ordered cable breakers, etc. Just took them a Blue Eddy and came over quickly. Just what I needed. Well, nice. There you go.
Good.
Guys, I can't thank this guy enough. He obviously on a whim jumped on this with me. He was getting water, which is sitting right there. You haven't even taken a sip out of it.
Right.
And I was like, hey man, I'm about to go live right now. Do you want to go live with me? And he was like, sure, I'll go live with you. And he's doing another solid for me on Friday. So I appreciate this guy more than he knows.
Likewise.
And I'm trying to convince him to go to Tiny Fest with me.
Probably will. Sure.
I'm gonna try to get him there. He is a wealth of knowledge. His entire team is amazing. Go check them out at lightharvestsolar.com. And yeah, I don't know.
We just saw when I was there are too many people doing it. It got too fast. Someone was saying they need something for overlanding, like a plug or something like that. So call us and we'll help. It was where did that go?
Right here.
Yeah.
I bought an Aspen and
want a
And
good method for charging, call us so we can kind of talk about what you're needing. What else we got?
that, I mean, I'm
of-
going to wrap this up. We're going to hit an hour, and I try not to do more than 40 minutes. So
This
what do you-
guy's right. So
Jeez,
the
you wanna
higher
keep
the
going.
higher
You wanna
discharge
keep
rate, the
going.
less likelihood you need a soft start. Very, very right. Absolutely right, spot on. And that's why it's really important with the batteries that we designed, that we have to have. It's got a 200 amp surge and a 150 continuous for that reason.
I got some really good tours coming up here, guys. Nothing tomorrow. I'm going to take a week off because I finished the year strong. And so there's not going to be a tour tomorrow. Also because I've been focused so much on the van build, I haven't had time to edit anything. That's I'm taking a day off, guys. I'm sorry. But also at the same time,
Jeez.
I want to take a day off.
It's a Thursday.
Well, that's usually when I release my tours. But I don't have a tour ready to go tomorrow.
I'm just saying.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you're gonna get mad at me now?
No, I'm not mad at you. I'm just saying. Taking a Thursday off?
I'm not literally. I'm coming down here to get work done so I can get down to.
Oh, you're taking this off.
Yeah, I'm gonna take my editing day off.
Okay.
Tesla full battery van, please. I don't know about that one.
Yeah, you got to be an engineer.
Be an engineer. All right, guys. Till next time, we'll see you later. I will go live again next week. He will not be here. It'll be me, maybe Mark from Nomadic Customs. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see who I can bring on. We'll never know. Later.
That was pretty cool.